And we say, what's going on, everybody? Christian Ballard, sports journalist here at Ballard Sports Media. Hope everyone's having a great start to their week. Do me a favor, please. Please hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. We talk college football here on the Christian Ballard Show. It's not just when we go live, but throughout the week. But you can catch the show Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. I think I'm going to have to change the time because I'm fixing to start a basic 9 to 5 full time type of job here pretty soon, just to let you know. So we'll get it figured out. Um, but yeah, here on Monday, August 18th, we want to look at who are the conference title favorites. And I think it's obvious, some of them. I think the only one that stands out is the Big 12. I talked to Uncle Lou about this last week on his call in show about how it's a gimme conference right now. Even Arizona State last year, probably not the go to favorite. If it were up to me, I like a team like Iowa State this year with what they have coming back, and Rocco Beck and company. Um, in the Big 12, I think that is probably your go-to team, but it's not 100% bet your dollar on it type of bet. But let's go ahead and look at the college football futures. We'll full screen it, or maybe just put it. I don't know if we want to do this. I guess we could do that. Put me on. um, but they actually, this is per ESPN. We'll look at each conference in the Power Four, maybe look at a couple group of five, but let me know your conference champions in the comments section below. Obviously, we had some good teams last year out of each conference. We had uh, who do we have last year? We had Iowa. Well, no, we didn't have Iowa State, did we? Um, let's go back and look real quick. I'm gonna pull this up. We had Boise State, UNLV. We had Army, Tulane. Anyway, we get to Saturday, and we had Georgia over Texas, Oregon over Penn State, Clemson over SMU, Arizona State over Iowa State last year in a big time blowout. What was well? That was the Power Four, so that's what you had. Plus, you had the Independent and Notre Dame, but they don't have a conference championship, of course. But then you look at this year. You talk about returning production. Kenny Dillingham doing good things at Arizona State. I would not be shocked if the Big 12 comes down to Arizona State and Iowa State again. I don't know if I would pick that. I don't really like Arizona State as much this year as I did last year, as did anybody else really like them last year. It could come down to Utah. It could come down to Kansas State. Most likely, it might be Kansas State, Iowa State in a rematch. They play week one uh, here, or week 0 in Ireland coming up this week. I don't. I like Iowa State in the Big 12. Forget who it's over. Um, the Big 12 is up for grabs for really anybody. It could be Baylor. It could be Iowa State. I doubt that it's Oklahoma State or UCF who's plus 5,000 right now. I'm not here to make any picks or bet money necessarily. Just kind of curious what the ESPN odds are on these conference winners potentially. Should we buy into it? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I might even premiere this, so maybe if you're watching it live on a premiere, just kind of talk along with me. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I could see Arizona State winning it again. Utah could get it. Baylor. I really do like Iowa State, and I think that plus 1,100 is kind of bogus. I would have them much higher than that. They got TCU over them. I don't know if I would take that. Let's go to the ACC. I think the obvious favorite is Clemson. I would be shocked if Clemson doesn't make it. I like them in Miami. I think the ACC is up for the favorites to make it, and it would be based on this Clemson Miami, and I agree with that. Uh, is Florida State at 3,500 too high? I mean, you got them higher than even Syracuse. Syracuse, I'm high on them. And maybe I'm just blind or something, but I think plus 10,000 is a bit too low for Syracuse. I really like what they have coming back this year. I just think the coaching and everything sets up for Syracuse. I like Steve Angeli, who comes in as a transfer from Notre Dame. Ricky Collins comes in as a backup from LSU at quarterback. There's a lot of young um, running backs and stuff. There's Jonte Cook comes in from Texas. Jalen Hornsby is a freshman. I've heard some good things about Amari Hatcher. They got a lot of work to do, I will say, for Syracuse, but they're I just if they look good, if number one, if they win that week one game against Tennessee, but if they look good doing it, I know we kind of make fun of Tennessee, um, and the whole Nico situation. But that aside, Tennessee should be a good team. So if Syracuse competes early, I would watch out if I'm the ACC. I think they're a dark horse, and I feel like they're based on expert odds and everything. I just feel like they're one of the more underrated teams. I don't know if I would take them to make the ACC, but I feel like that 10,000 right there is kind of low. I mean, I would put them ahead of some of these teams. North Carolina at 5,000. Come on, man. Bill Belichick and his girlfriend. I, I don't even know what to say. I could get Stanford, Cal, and Wake being at the bottom, but again, teams like Pitt, NC State, Carolina, and Virginia Tech, I'd put Syracuse ahead of those and Boston College. I would put them below. Well, I don't know. I feel like they had it going for the top five there with Clemson, Louisville, Miami, all these teams, Georgia Tech, and SMU. I get it going there, but then I put Syracuse, and then everyone else can fight for 6, 7, 8, whatever. But to pick a favorite, I like Clemson over either Miami, maybe SMU again, Louisville, or Syracuse or Tech. I would put one of those teams in over Clemson or put them in against Clemson, and I would take them to win the Big or the ACC. Sorry, we're looking at the Big Ten next. Let's just go ahead and get into it. This one makes more sense. Obviously, you got the national champions in Ohio State here. They lose Will Howard, Emeka Buka, who's with my Tampa Bay Bucks right now, but it's they got a lot coming in with Julian Sand at quarterback who transferred in and comes over from Alabama. Penn State returns probably the most production in the Big Ten based on favorites with Drew Aller and the running backs, Katron Allen, Nick Singleton coming back. Could have gone pro, but they want another shot. I like them in Texas as my championship matchup pick. Uh, if it were up to me, like if you put the two favorites this year, who should be, I'm not I'm not gonna say I'm not buying the Buckeyes. I love them to win the Big Ten, and you probably get a rematch between Penn State, Ohio State. I could see Penn State winning in the regular season and then Ohio State winning the conference over Penn State. After that, to put Oregon in there, I like that too. Michigan, USC, Nebraska, Iowa's in the right place. But that's a team I made a bet with Lou. I need them to hit 8 wins or more this season. So kind of need to pick it up and defy the odds a little bit. Get ahead of teams like Nebraska, USC, or whoever. Um, but I think these make sense. Would I place my money on Penn State and Ohio State to make it? I think it's a risk because of teams like Michigan or Oregon out there. But at the same time, it's uh it's not the biggest bet in the world. Like it's not the biggest risk in the world to say that Ohio State and Penn State could rematch after a meeting in the regular season in October. That's I mean that's that. So did they get it right? I think so. Again, it's a conference. I would place my bet right now that Penn State's going to be in there, but is it going to be Ohio State, Oregon, really one of those two teams? I think those top three are the go to teams that. But Penn State's got to make it in. Are they going to rematch Oregon, or are they going to rematch Ohio State? That's the big question. That's what you got to consider. And all three of these teams, or at least I know Penn State gets them both. I got to double check something with Ohio State. Do they? I don't think they get Oregon. So I think that's what's interesting here. They do not get Oregon um, in the regular season. So it's going to be up to Penn State. Can they beat one, if not both of those teams? And if they were to lose, they gotta, they gotta win out. I think Penn State has to go 11-1, um, solely based on the fact they play both Oregon and Ohio State. That's my opinion. That's my 2 cents. But after that, after those three teams, like Purdue's not doing anything. Maryland, Wisconsin, Rutgers, these teams aren't going to do anything. You have dark horse teams that might spoil and pull an upset somewhere. I believe Penn State goes to Iowa. Be careful with a game like that. But, you know, should it's more likely going to keep Penn State out of the Big Ten than it is put Iowa State in that conference title, if you get what I'm saying. But these odds, I would buy those first three teams, and then the rest of them, I would put teams like Illinois and Iowa a little bit higher. I love teams like Nebraska this year to make big noise. I don't know if I would put Michigan as my fourth best team. I just wouldn't. I would. I don't know if I would put Indiana, Iowa ahead of Michigan, and then that's what you would change here. But let me know your thoughts on the Big Ten as well. All right, we get in finally to the SEC. This one, just like the Big Ten, two best conferences in football right now, going head to head. You also got to think they go head to head in a couple games early on in the season. Texas, Ohio State being a prime example. Texas is the favorite. I like that. It comes down to that Georgia Alabama game. Texas also has to play Georgia in the regular season, and I believe this time that game is in Athens. Also, Alabama goes to Athens. I think Georgia wins that game, but I feel like they lose to Texas. I don't know. Somehow it's going to end up being Alabama, Texas, at least in my opinion, in the SEC title. What Alabama has to do is hope that they lose that Georgia game and Georgia drops some SEC games. Now Georgia has to go to Auburn early on. That could be a tricky game. They also got to go to Tennessee. And could they lose at home to Texas? I got to get your thoughts on all of these odds, especially with the SEC. That's what's interesting to me. Georgia probably should win that Alabama game at home week 4, week 5 of the season. It being a night game on the 27th of September. I could see Alabama winning that game, but this is a different team to face in Athens as compared to 10 years ago when they went in 2015 and blew them out. It's a completely different story. It's a different Alabama team. I feel like it could be better than that 2015 team, but I also feel like Georgia is miles ahead of what they were 10 years ago. Obviously, with Kirby Smart as head coach and just what they have coming in with Gunnar Stockton at quarterback, I think there's question marks there, but at the same time, regardless, I say all that to say Texas, without a doubt, is going to be in the SEC title. The question is, who are they going to face and possibly beat or lose to? I like Texas to win the SEC title. I have a feeling Alabama's, even if they lose to Georgia, I feel like they're going to find a way in there. And I don't know. I don't see us losing two conference games. I could see a scenario where Georgia does. I think you got to be careful with teams like Florida. You host Ole Miss. You do have the benefit of hosting Texas, but I mean, does Texas early on or late in the season have it together enough? You also got to take in the fact that if Auburn really is improved at quarterback, that offense could be special this year. They go on the road to the Auburn Tigers. But yeah, that's going to do it here for this video. Let me know what you guys think about some of these title odds, and with some of my picks and predictions, if I had to go favorites here, I mean, you're looking at maybe a rematch between Ohio State and Penn State, possibly. You're looking at uh, up for grabs against Clemson in the ACC. I like a team like Syracuse or somebody to make a big jump this year. It could be Miami, it could be Louisville, SMU again, or Georgia Tech as well. I thought Florida State was too high with 3,500. The Big 12 comes down to a lot of different teams. I like Iowa State and maybe Arizona State or Kansas State. There's a lot of teams to love in the Big 12. The SEC, I don't think it's a given that Georgia makes it. I don't think it's a given. I think it's most likely they do. But at the same time, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, uh, I really do like Alabama in there against Texas or Georgia, whoever wins that regular season game. But let me know where I'm right, where I'm wrong, where you agree or disagree. Who's your dark horse? It's very hard to come up with some of those. It's fun to do, but you always want to be right. And if you're a guy that, or a person, or if you're out there and you say, I don't care if I'm right or not, I like this team to be a dark horse. Plus 4,000 on West Virginia. I'm not saying they're coming anywhere close to making the Big 12 title game, but is Rich Rod in West Virginia not going to be a fun team to watch this year? Colorado, I think, is going to fall off a bit. Uh, TCU could be fun. Kansas has always been fun the last few years with Lance Leopold at head coach. Florida State's going to be fun to watch too. That week one game against Alabama, if they pull that off, man, somehow, which I doubt, but dude, if they pull that off, they better go big or go home. Because I'm not sitting here watching my team Alabama lose to a 5-7 scrub, whatever Florida State team. They better win 8 or 9 games if they end up beating us. They better turn it around. But we'll see. Anyway, I love y'all. Thanks for watching this video. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Jesus loves you. God bless, and roll tide from a Bama fan. We'll see you.